Double Binds, Unit 5, Lesson 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conflict Resolution and Peacemaking, the class that teaches you how to manage interpersonal conflict and drama for yourself and others. I'm your instructor, David Lowry. Congratulations on the hard work you've been doing, and let us welcome you to a new unit of study where we explore no-win situations. In this unit, you will learn how double binds, paired binds, and relational dialectics impact conflict and contribute to no-win conditions. Since these three gremlins are common causes for concern in our work, it's important to understand what they are and their mechanics. So let's begin today's podcast by discussing no-win situations and double binds. People of goodwill and those who study peacemaking optimistically believe all conflicts can be resolved to the satisfaction of all concerned. Realistically, some disputes cannot be resolved because people often lack the resolve or goodwill to do so. The very nature of some conflicts makes resolving them more difficult than others, especially when the results are less tangible than one wants. Right now, displaced peoples live in continual tension and conflict in locations worldwide. In an earlier day and time, either through war or political decision-making, their homelands were forfeit. The stroke of a pen confiscated people's properties that had been in families for generations. Many years later, no real solution can be found that satisfies these displaced peoples, though numerous attempts have been made. These conflicts are ongoing and intractable. It's 7 o'clock in the morning when the doorbell rings. The man of the house opens the door and sees a process server standing on his porch. The server explains that his estranged wife is suing for divorce and hands him the papers. Though shocked, the decision is not entirely unexpected. Their situation was long in the making and filled with years of unresolved conflicts. Two people who have been friends for a long time find themselves at odds with each other. Neither wants to cause trouble, but there are fundamental differences that neither can solve through compromise. Both are surprised at how positioned and unyielding the other one is. They would like to find a way of restoring the peace, but doubt it is possible since each considers the disagreement a matter of principle. We could go on and on. The point is, some conflicts are almost impossible to resolve, and the best we can do is learn to manage our lives despite them. So, what exactly is a no-win situation? At the beginning stages of most conflicts, people commonly have rigid positions and state what others must do to resolve something and make it go away. However, many problems appear to offer no clear pathway to winning. When demands are not met, one or the other claim nothing can be done because they are in a no-win dilemma. Is there such thing as a no-win situation? Technically, it could be argued that any unresolved conflict counts as a no-win, even though a dispute has passed and people have moved on. The truth is, many problems we say are no-win can be solved under the right conditions. For instance, when people are willing to face their difficulties more seriously, they often discover satisfying alternative solutions. In no particular order, here are some additional reasons why people claim they are caught in a no-win situation. Number one, when they're overwhelmed, people assume that matters are hopeless, even without making any genuine efforts to do something. Number two, they make demands that no one is willing to meet. Number three, they ignore or refuse attempts to try and work things out. Number four, after making an honest effort that did not work, they abandon the process. Number five, someone who holds more power refuses to negotiate. Number six, they are conflict avoidant and doubt their ability to work things out, so they just cut their losses and move on. Number seven, previous reconciliation attempts ended in deadlock, and now they have little emotional reserves for continuing. Number eight, they refuse to negotiate in good faith or come to the process with a my way or the highway approach. Number nine, a lawyer, mediator, or peacemaker tried something that didn't work. And finally, number 10, They do not care enough about the other to try and restore peace. Of course, more reasons could explain why people assume they are caught in a no-win situation. From a peacemaking point of view, it's hard to argue that any situation, even those we've just mentioned, is beyond redemption. From our idealistic viewpoint, our job is to remain positive and never give up while we search for creative solutions. Peacemakers are like doctors working with terminally ill patients. We hate to give up, and we're always looking for that one thing that might have been overlooked. Even so, many things are beyond the control of a peacemaker. Ultimately, we are only facilitators and cannot do the hard work others must do for themselves. Despite our best efforts, many problems are destined to remain unresolved. Though we will suggest some peacemaking approaches for different categories of no win situations, peacemakers should be realistic and not discouraged, knowing they might not be able to negotiate a resolution. Even though we may not resolve all conflicts, there is hope for optimism. Each year, scientists in math, physics, and other sciences solve problems that defied humanity's best minds for hundreds of years. We believe peacemaking can be like that too. Today's unresolvable conflict may well find an elegant solution in the coming years, provided our best minds never give up hope. Double binds. One of the first no-win situations we will study is the double bind. Double binds are situations where adverse outcomes occur no matter what one does. To make matters worse, the double bind usually includes an element of punishment. Gregory Bateson, a noted anthropologist, social scientist, linguist, and cyberneticist, spent much time researching and describing the double bind and its relationship to psychological dysfunctions such as schizophrenia. His theory of the double bind includes four characteristics. Two or more people are involved in a close, intense relationship, such as a mother or child, messages, which usually consist of a degree of punishment. A receiver of the message who faces punishment and cannot withdraw from the situation or speak about what is going on. And last, the situation and its dysfunctional outcomes occur repeatedly. Here are some examples of double binds. Number one, a parent tells their child to tell me the truth while threatening to punish them if they do something they disliked. In this case, an expected punishment negates the desire for truthful answers. Number two, a person becomes angry because their partner does not meet their needs, though they've never expressed what they want. When questioned, they say, I don't want my partner to do something because I asked them to, but because they love me. The double bind appears to be meet my needs or else, even though I'm not going to tell you what they are. Number three, a parent regularly yells and verbally abuses their child and then afterward tells them how much they love them. Though the child wants to be loved, it does not want to experience the raging behavior to receive it. And last, a school threatens to expel a child for fighting, but doesn't ensure that bullies won't pick on them. So the child fears for their physical safety while facing a demand to do nothing to protect themselves. In each of these examples, conflicting demands include punishment or adverse outcomes. The important message is, I need you to do something that will punish you later. People caught in conditions like these describe it as interpersonal crazy making, constructive approaches to double binds. The double bind is often a cause of stress among people. Their power lies in the fact that they either go undetected, or no one adequately confronts them, or that no one has thought of an alternative approach to replace the dysfunctional behavior. Here are some potential ways of addressing the double bind. Analyze conflicts for double binds. First, a peacemaker should carefully analyze each situation for potential embedded double binds. Often, the ability to identify and explain a double bind is all that is needed to encourage participants to try another approach. Number two, inform all participants of double binds. Bringing a problem to light is one of the first steps to restoring imbalances and finding new solutions. Thirdly, removing punishing demands. Sometimes people are unaware of their unreasonable or punishing demands. What they do seems logical, and they're surprised by the reactions of others since they intended no harm. To their thinking, they were solving problems, enforcing rules, getting work done, or prodding others to be more effective. When confronted, they may believe that people are overreacting. On the other hand, some people intentionally add a punishing element to their demands because they cannot conceive of any other way of achieving their goals. As much as possible, peacemakers should encourage those in conflict to recognize any threats embedded in a double bind. When discussing them, the focus should be on finding alternative problem solving methods that do not include threats of harm. So, for instance, instead of punishing a child after telling the truth, perhaps it would be better to find new approaches for training the child, perhaps using some form of positive reinforcement. Do not make it difficult to be truthful. As we discuss eliminating adverse outcomes, we stress the importance of making it easy for people to communicate the truth or any other unpleasant information. For example, if you ask someone to tell you how you look and then you give a hostile reaction, they will likely lie to you the next time you ask such a question. Most people prefer a course of least resistance and do not want to invest much time and energy in dealing with negativity. The moral is this: if you make it difficult for someone to tell you the truth, they will probably tell you lies. If necessary, refuse to participate. Finally, if necessary, refuse to participate in a double bind. Due to differences in power, people often believe they must comply with a demand even when it involves a negative consequence. While we understand this claim and think it is especially valid in the case of young children, most adults have more autonomy to make decisions in their best interest. When a person is asked the famous wife beating question, which is, have you stopped beating your wife? The best possible response is probably not to answer. Just because someone makes a demand containing a double bind does not mean you are required to satisfy it. However, there are situations when enduring a double bind may be justified. For instance, caring for an elderly patient who's unaware of the fine points of their behavior, or because one perceives a more significant gain ahead if they do so. Outside of a net benefit, the best reaction to a double bind may be a refusal to participate. Of course, there could be negative consequences for doing so, and peacemakers should never try and force that decision upon anyone. On the other hand, we see nothing wrong with helping a person understand all the available options, including their right to refuse to participate. Today's lesson introduced the concept of no-win situations, explained the double bind, and suggested how to deal with them. We noted that double binds contain conflicting demands that include an element of punishment or harm to the one who would try to meet the demand. People are often unaware of their existence. The peacemaker's job is to help uncover them so a more cooperative outcome can be developed. In our next lesson, we will continue our discussion of no-win situations by examining the paired bind. We thank you for listening to today's podcast and encourage you to download a copy of this program's transcript so that you might beat the short quiz over today's presentation.